The UE boss is back. And guess who we're gonna use again? So resonance doesn't apply to Queen, accurate damage doesn't apply to Queen. This one does apply to Queen because she's an assassin. As for the boss gimmick, every time you hit the boss, you will get a mark of the element of the skill that you use. If you use a nuclear, you'll get a nuclear mark. Then when you reaches 3 marks or 3 nuclear attacks, you will summon the Rakshasa of nuclear mark. Then when you kill the Rakshasa, you will get a nuclear buff. And there's 2 Rakshasa, so you can get up to 2 stacks of the buff. And the thing is, you actually don't have to kill Rakshasa, because if you kill the boss, the Rakshasa will die, then you'll still get the buff. Well, that applies to DOD or Devourer of Dreams. So this is the team. We are using Code and Futaba here, because like I explained in the previous video, the point difference between Code Futaba and no Code Futaba is big for Queen. So you want to use both of them here. So let's actually start with Futaba. Let's explain what she does, because it's the first time I use in the video. Futaba is a very easy character to understand. So every time you move, so every action, so every time you use a skill, you get 5% for the analysis progress. And then when you use a skill, resonance or highlight that does weakness damage, you get extra 20%. So if you use like a nuclear highlight, a Queen highlight on a nuclear weak opponent, you get 25% total. So because 20 plus 5. Then when you reach 100%, you have to use a skill 1 or skill 2 in order to summon a data storm. And then when there's a data storm, your damage will increase. And then if you hit a weakness damage, the damage will be amplified even more. Like for example, it's 20%. 20% when you have data storm. If you hit a weakness, the damage becomes 40%. So that's pretty big. So her skill 1 is a defense debuff for 3 turns. Then if you hit a weakness, the defense debuff is going to be doubled. So that is like 30% becomes 60% debuff. That's going to be quite huge. And like I mentioned, if you have 100% analysis progress, you will summon Data Storm for 2 turns. Similar to skill 2 also, 100% you use skill 2, you summon Data Storm. Then on top of summoning Data Storm, you will increase the damage taken for the enemy, and then you will also charge the analysis progress even quicker. So it's like extra 20% here again. You don't even need to hit weakness. So if you hit weakness, it's going to be 20 plus 20 plus 5. It's going to be 45%, which is quite huge. Even if you don't hit weakness, it's still going to be 25%, because 5% by default, right? It doesn't matter you use what skill. 5%, then 20% from skill 2. Then skill 3 is the big one. Skill 3 will buff an ally, which will increase their attack, and then it will also change the attributes. So for this boss's case, it's neutral to nuclear to begin with. So if you use a skill 3 on Queen, the boss will become weak to nuclear, which is pretty huge. As for the passive, in the start of battle, you have 100% analysis progress, which means that on the second turn, when you use a skill 1, you immediately gain the Data Storm. And another passive is when you activate Data Storm, you get a shield, which is nice because it allows you to sustain a little bit more. So the usual rotation for Futaba is going to be like skill 1 and skill 3, alternate skill 1, skill 3, because skill 2 is not that useful, especially when it's only single target. For this boss, it's nice because it's only one boss, but usually you won't use skill 2. If it's a DOD like this guild boss where there's a weakened phase, using all skill is possible, and you should do that, so you can apply all 3 of the buffs and debuffs. So for the cards, I gave her Labor and Resolve for the extra debuff, and I do out of 5-star weapons, so there's an extra crit damage when I use the debuffing skill, which is skill 1 and skill 2. It's the screen. So our DPS is gonna be Queen. It's not my Queen because I don't have her yet. I'll be getting her next week when she reruns. So the set is Awareness and Truth for more nuclear damage, and this is only a 4-star weapon Queen, and then I'll just go through the stat screen. Then our buffer code, nothing much to say here. The relation card is going to be Departure Control, because we need the extra debuff. If you don't need the defense debuff, you can just use a Trust, Prosperity, Trust Power 5-star weapon. Not really required here to follow rotation and stat screen. Then Vino, very important here for the elements. She's running the Harmony and Truth set to increase party's nuclear damage. 5-star weapon for more debuff and more element inflict and stat screen. So for the dagger, I need the Arc Knife for more defense debuff. If you don't, you can just run Ex Machina. So it depends on you. Then we have Bisha Mountain. Bisha Mountain needs the Rakunda to debuff defense. Then we have Dionysus, need the Rebellion. Then lastly Jalanga. Jalanga is good here because of the passive. And it's very easy to inflict the shock also. And give him the Tarokaja. For turn order, Queen Court must be 3rd and 4th. Then these two shouldn't really matter. So first turn, Vino skill 1. And then we do a Bisha Mountain Imperial Purge. It's just to summon the Rakshasa. In skill 2. Queen will skill 3 to do some damage. Skill 1 also works fine. Then the Rakshasa summon. So we actually can ignore the Rakshasa. We can just target the boss, because when we kill the boss, the Rakshasa will also die, and then we will also get the buff. Okay, skill 3. Wonder Bakunda will be a Shamandan. Skill 1. And then Queen can do a skill 2 here. I think we're gonna heal Vino just in case. Because of the Magi die. It's gonna hurt. Then we can do a skill 2. Skill 1, skill 2 here doesn't really matter. What matters is the last 2 turns, and skill 1, skill 2 both will last until the end. So it doesn't really matter here to me. So just skill 2, make sure you target the boss so that you can also trigger the Vapor and Resolve set. And then we can do a skill 1. Then we do a Vino highlight. So I do a delay the Vino highlight a little bit because I don't want to do too much damage, just in case. Okay, now the final Rakshasa is out. Then we do Visha Mountain, Imperial Purge. This is to debuff with the Arc Knife. That should be next debuff, and then we skill 2 buff Queen. That's fine. Then we skill 3 to kill. Now Futaba skill 1. So we can see that the thing is still 100%. Because we did like a bunch of weakness damage just now, right? So it's like 25% per weakness damage, so easily we hit 100%. Then we use a skill 1 here, we will summon the Data Storm again. We summoned it last turn, we can summon again this turn because it's 100%. Because we need the Data Storm in order to use this Futaba skill 3 next turn. And skill 3 with, you know. Then Dionysus Rebellion. Skill 1. We'll debuff also. Because we have Departure and Control set. Then we do a Code highlight. Then we can do Crash Out. Then skill 2. 300k, not bad. This from an A0 Queen. Then we do a skill 3. So you can only use this when you have Data Storm. Then we skill 3 on Queen. Make sure it has to be Queen so that we can give the nuclear weakness to the boss. So you can see that the boss is now weak to nuclear because of the Futaba skill 3. Then you can do a skill 1, you know. Then we can go Yolanga Tarukaja. This will, switching to Yolanga will allow us to increase the crit damage even more because of the passive. For this turn we're going to do huge damage. Then we skill 3 Queen. It should be big damage. Because now it's also weak to the clear us good damage. Then we highlight again. Nice. And skill 3. So about 55 million. That's good damage. That's good score.